Are you ready?
The Super Bowl is one of the greatest sports nights of the year. Whether you're a fan of one of the teams, a general sports fan, or just enjoying an excuse to consume a ton of meat, it's a great night for all. For most, the night's a good time, and when it's done, it's done. Except for some Monday morning quarterbacking or some whining from the fans of the losing team, the Super Bowl doesn't leave much of an impact on our lives after the game is over. But why? The Super Bowl is the pinnacle of sports greatness. The players, teams, and coaches are at the heights of their games and careers to be able to play at such a great stage. The rule of success is that it leaves clues. So maybe we can find a few clues of greatness that we see in the Super Bowl to better our own lives long after the trophy has been hoisted in the air. Here are two quick lessons of greatness that we can take from the Super Bowl. The first. If you watch the game closely, you will find something conspicuously missing. Look at the sidelines and you will find that not one person has their cell phones. Players aren't texting each other, coaches aren't checking emails, the refs aren't checking the scores in the NBA games. In fact, not only aren't people on the phone, if you look closely enough, you'll find that everyone is completely focused on the game. The cornerback covering the wide receiver is not thinking about whether or not he has to respond to a certain email. That tight end trying to block the safety on the blitz and then spin around for the dump pass isn't worried about whether or not people liked his Facebook post. Everyone on the field has one focus: the game. I once asked a Division I basketball coach, what differentiates a good player and a great player? Without batting an eye, he said, focus. Good players have talent and play hard, but they're not fully focused on the game. They're thinking about the crowd, winning and losing, how many shots they're getting. Great players are fully focused on each moment for itself. To them, it's like time slows down and all they see, hear, and feel is that game. How many areas of our lives are just not great? Average, good, very good, but not great. Why? Many times, it's because we're never fully focused on it. When we engage in work, talk to our spouse, play with our children, pick up a siddur or chumash, we're not fully in. We're physically or mentally someplace else. We're never here now. Rabbi Nachman in Likutei Maran explains the verse, Hayom im b'chukosai telechu, that Hashem specifically asks us to be here today. Today. Don't think about tomorrow. Focus on today. You could be great just today. If we focused on now, we find a piece of ourselves that allows us to do things we couldn't do otherwise. In Shema we read, Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom. David HaMelech gets it. He says, Zeh hayom asa Hashem nagila v'nismecha bo. What area of your life needs more greatness? Think about it. Ask yourself, do I ever go all in? Do I ever shut everything off around me to see if I could just dominate it? You'd be surprised to see how capable you really are when you keep your eyes on the ball and only that ball, all the way down the field of life. But I have another idea I'd like to share. Most of the game of football stems from one position, the quarterback. He leads each drive, and without a strong quarterback, you ain't winning a Super Bowl. What makes a great quarterback? It's not only his arm or even his accuracy. He needs to master one skill, the skill of navigating around the pocket. As soon as he snaps that ball, the opposition is trying to stop him. The quarterback's ability to stay calm, to wait for the play to develop, to not rush the pass, all while people are trying to tackle him, is the hardest part about being a quarterback. He needs to not rush, but not wait. He needs to balance between urgency and patience. To do that, it requires a confidence in himself and his own ability. As great quarterback Dan Marino once said, if you ask any great quarterback you will see, there's a certain inner confidence that they're as good as anybody. That confidence is how they excel. The same is true in our lives. Most of us have and or will face moments of challenge, moments where what's in front of us seems too great to handle. We are literally living in a pocket, feeling like what's coming is going to tackle us. It exists in our academics, in our careers, in dating, in marriage, in dealing with sickness or even economic crisis. We all have moments that, like a quarterback, we feel that pressure. Greatness is not just in our talents, our friends, or our abilities. It's in our confidence. It's in our knowing that I need to exercise patience before I act. It's in our knowing that I need to stay rational and not do or say something I'm going to regret. It's in our believing that the play will develop and I will see my next move even if I can't see it now. There is a great story about one of Shlomo HaMelech's advisors, Benayahu ben Yehoyada. Shlomo asked him to find a ring that had the power to make a happy man sad and a sad man happy. Shlomo HaMelech knew there was no such ring, but was trying to humble his servant. Benayahu went searching for the ring and found nothing. Dejected, he came back to Yerushalayim. About to give up, he saw an elderly jeweler engraving 3 letters on a gold ring, Gimel, Zayin, Yud. He saw it and smiled. That night he presented it to the king. Shlomo HaMelech asked, "What does this mean?" And Benayahu smiled and said, Gam zeh ya'avor. This too shall pass. These are the lessons of Super Bowl champions. The ability to stay totally focused on each play. The ability to stay confident in the pocket, knowing that even when you hear the defense on your back, if you stay patient and confident, not too long you'll get sacked, but just long enough to see the play develop, you'll be able to get a good look. The same applies in life. If we focus on here and now, we will find that we can accomplish so much more than we ever dreamed. And when the going gets tough, to stay confident and patient, believing that it'll get better, the confusion will pass, and trusting in our own ability to make it happen when it does. In life and in sports, being a champion isn't about winning or losing. It's about how you play the game.
Owner of the Cleveland Browns. Last time they won the Super Bowl, Mr. Shalach.
Mr. Modell. I know Mr. Modell.
Steve Fischiari.
Art Modell.
What does Tony Romo, Wes Walker, James Harrison, and Kurt Warner have in common? They are all undrafted players who became superstars in the NFL. Outsiders that no team wished to choose during the NFL draft, but their names are now recognized by all. In fact, Kurt Warner was undrafted. He tried out for the Packers in '94, but was released before the regular season. No team wanted to give him a chance, so he had to work in a grocery store, stocking the shelves at $6.50 an hour, playing for the Arena Football League. He then was supposed to try out for the Chicago Bears, but got bit by a spider on his honeymoon, and therefore couldn't participate in the tryout and had to play for the NFL Europe. He signed with the St. Louis Rams in 1998, and after an injury to the starting quarterback, took over and had one of the best seasons of any quarterback in NFL history. Tom Brady was the 7th on the depth chart when he began his college career at the University of Michigan. He had to hire a psychologist to help him cope with the frustration and the anxiety. And he even considered transferring schools, but even YU, who doesn't have a football team, didn't want to take him. He was eventually drafted by the Patriots as the 199th pick in the draft, and then took over after an injury to Drew Bledsoe, and the rest is history. In the Torah portion that we read yesterday, we're introduced to Yitro. Yitro is the ultimate coach, and the rabbis name a whole section of the Bible for him. Yitro was an outsider. He realized that he could make a difference. He saw a group of nomads forming into a people of purpose, and he knew that he had advice for them, advice that might be ignored. After all, he was an outsider, and he was giving advice to his son-in-law, which definitely might be ignored. But he had the passion to make a difference. He wanted Moshe to be the most effective leader that he could be for the Jewish people. He wanted Moshe to learn how to share the burden with the team. And Yitro becomes the architect of the Jewish people's judicial system. How many times do we have the opportunity to make a difference? An opportunity to grow in ways that require us to stretch, but we simply ignore the opportunity because we feel it's too difficult. We're afraid of failing, or worse, others may think that we're not capable. Imagine if Kurt Warner and Tom Brady would have thought that way. Imagine what football would look like today. Imagine the destiny of the Jewish people and the whole legal system without the brilliant guidance of Yitro. We all have the opportunity to make a difference, but often it is because of distractions. Often it's because we're too busy focusing on the urgent instead of the important that we don't seize the moment. We impose limitations about ourselves. Let us resolve to do something more, to make our lives richer, to be willing to take that leap, to make our lives of our family and of our community and of our society a little fuller. Our position on life's playing field is not decided by a draft. It's not decided by coaches or by popular opinion. Our position on life's playing field is decided by one person. It's decided by us. As long as we have the resolve, the courage, and the charisma to be able to take that step and realize that we all deserve to live richer lives, and realize in the process we transform ourselves, our family, and the world around us.
Who is the only Jewish football player able to win 4 Super Bowls?
So it's either Grossman or Friedman. I'm gonna have to go with Friedman.
Randy Grossman.
Joseph Joe Alexander. Final answer.
Okay, full disclosure, I don't watch football. I don't know football. In fact, one of our family jokes is laughing about a great snapshot of someone caught wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with, "Football is life." But I do watch people watching football once every year at the Super Bowl party. And I'll tell you, what do I see? Well, maybe it wouldn't be so funny if life was football. There's some amazing energy packed into those hours, some incredible intensity, and the hope, no matter what's going on in the game, the hope is inspired. So here's what I've seen that makes life as football a bit less laughable. Number 1, love the game and expect success. A pro athlete's ability to succeed is rooted and propelled by their love of the game. Playing the game brings these elite players joy. They love the way they feel on the field, and even smile after they've made a mistake. The joy fuels their work ethic. The work ethic builds the skill. An athlete's love for the game is infectious. The game is studied. The opponents are studied. Every mistake you've ever made is studied. No matter what you do in life, if there's no joy, there's no possibility for real success. And number 2, bounce back. There is no obstacle that you cannot overcome. If you're all wrapped up in building your game, what happens when it hits the wall? What happens when you fumble the ball? What happens when you're not on your game? You know what? You double down. You remember you love the game. You find that the joy is in the details. Then the mistakes and the errors, they become new fuel for figuring it all out. You never lose sight of your goal. The power of playing this game with all-out intensity is an apt vehicle for seeing the capacity for personal devotion and achievement. If indeed you can win on the mental game, then you can win in the real game. So are you ready? The field is wide open. Enjoy the game.
Two-time winning champion.
Who retired to pursue a medical career?
Ben Coates.
The answer is Ben Coates.
Two-time Super Bowl winning tight end, Jewish, retired to go pursue a career in med, Dan Ross.